I'm Carla Sonntag, President and CEO of the New Mexico Business Coalition. And today on our podcast, The Heart of Business, we welcome Gerald Hamilton, owner of a Beehive Homes franchise. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for the invitation, Carla. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. We're looking forward to hearing about Beehive. So what is Beehive?
Well, Beehive Homes is a franchise organization. They have a really nice model, I think, in assisted living. That's our business, assisted living, and we have a really nice home-like, small, family-centered model, as opposed to some of the larger assisted living facilities that look more like apartment buildings. Ours look and feel like a home, a single-family home. So.
Great. And are you originally from New Mexico?
I'm not. I've been here about 30 years. But I was born in Washington, moved around the country with our family. My dad was in the Air Force. When he retired, and we moved to Utah, and so I went to high school and college there. He started a second career after the military and became a nursing home administrator, and that was kind of my introduction to long-term care.
And so what brought you to New Mexico?
I was working as a nursing home administrator in California, and got a little tired of the regulatory and unfriendly business environment in California, and lived in a beautiful place up in the mountains, but the regulatory environment was pretty oppressive. And when I had a chance to transfer with the same company, they had several locations in New Mexico at the time, and I jumped at the chance to get out of California and come to some place that I thought might be a little bit more friendly.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm glad you ended up here.
Sure.
Did you find it more friendly?
I did. When my wife and I moved here, we had several young children, and we had several more here, and raised our children. We're empty nesters now, and it's Albuquerque, New Mexico has been a great place to raise our family.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. And do the kids still live in New Mexico?
We have one that's with us between college semesters for the summer. The rest of them have gotten married and flown the coop, and they're different places all over the country.
Oh, okay. All right. So have you pretty much been in this business? Did you do anything before getting into assisted living?
As I said earlier, I worked in nursing homes. When my dad started out his second career as a nursing home administrator, I got interested in that business. And when I was in high school, worked in a nursing home in the kitchen, washing dishes and preparing meals. And I liked that business. Went to college, and when I was looking at what I wanted to do after college, I liked that business. And so I got on with a company out in California and became licensed as a nursing home administrator, and did that for a number of years. And then about 20 years, kind of switched gears. I had always worked in the nursing home business for large national companies, and I thought I learned a lot, but I wanted to do something else, do something on my own. And I learned about the Beehive Homes and their franchise network, and I thought this is something that I could handle, and a little bit easier business model than the nursing homes. The nursing homes are very heavily regulated, and the reimbursement that they deal with is pretty difficult. And so those are two issues that we don't have to deal with quite as much in assisted living. We still have a number of regulations to contend with, but I like the business, and I like being a business owner. Being able to call the shots and deal with my customer directly and give them more favorable. When I was working for a large company, a lot of times I had to tell people no in response to their requests for different things, because of the structure that I operated within, the confines of a large corporation, and I don't have those kind of constraints now. Since I own the company, I can tell my customers yes, most of and that's I really enjoyed that.
I bet that's rewarding to be able to say yes.
Yeah.
How many locations do you have?
So I currently own 9 Beehive Homes franchises. 5 of them are in New Mexico, in Albuquerque and in the East Mountains, and I have 4 in Nevada.
Wow. And how big is the average home?
Our homes are between 15 and 20 rooms in each home. They run about 7,000 and 9,000 square feet. Each of our residents has their own private room with a private bathroom, and then in addition to those rooms in each home, we have a large dining room, a large living room, so congregate areas for people to get together. And meals in our assisted living, in our Beehive homes, are really an event. It's like a big family sitting together, and they talk about what's going on with each of their extended families and current events. And it's quite a nice model. I
Well, that's
really enjoy
great.
it.
Do they have an opportunity to cook in in their rooms? Do they have a kitchen area?
We have a kitchen, and we prepare all the. So
Okay.
they don't have, we don't have facilities in their rooms for them to do that. Some of them will have a small refrigerator or even a microwave on occasion, but we do all the cooking for them, and so they really don't have a need to do their own.
And what is the average age of your residents?
Oh, it's probably 82, 85 in that range. And when residents come to us, they generally stay with several years. We've had residents as young as 50, and we've had residents come to us as old as 103, 104.
Wow.
And so it's quite a range.
Wow, yeah. And are you able to provide special care for them, or are they mostly ambulatory and able to take care of themselves?
Yes to both of those questions. The big difference between us and a nursing facility is the residents that come to us to live with us um, are fairly independent in terms of making their needs known. Some of them are ambulatory. Some of them require some assistance moving around. They're in wheelchairs or they use walkers. But the big difference between us and skilled nursing is they don't require the attendance of a nurse around the clock to take care of their needs. We have caregivers, and we train them to be able to meet the needs of our residents and assist them with their medications and what we call ADLs, activities of daily living, which are the things that you and I do for ourselves every day. We get up, we get dressed, we go to the bathroom, we prepare our meals, we do our own laundry. We do all of those things for our residents because either they're not able or they have great difficulty doing those things.
And how many employees would you have at each facility?
We typically have about 15 residents in each home, and we have 12 to 14 staff that we rotate around the clock. And of course, it's a 24/7 operation. So we have staff there every day, all day long, and all night long.
And do they have dual jobs? Like, will they take care and also cook, or do you have people that specialize?
We have cooks that do all of the meal preparation and in our homes, and then we have caregivers, is what we call the other workers. Some of them are CNAs, nursing assistants. Some of them are not. That's not a requirement in our setting. But then those caregivers assist the residents with all of their personal needs. But then they also do things like cleaning the rooms and the laundry and running activities, organizing activities for the residents. So in a sense, they're kind of universal workers, but we do have a dedicated cook in each home that prepares the meals.
Okay. And what would you say is the average stay for a resident?
They typically will stay with us for on average, 2 years. We do some respite stays that may be 5 days to 2 weeks,
Mm.
and then we've had people that have stayed with us as long as 10 years in our homes. So, but the average is about 2.5 years.
And what typically is the next destination for the person when they leave your facility?
Uh, Occasionally, they will decline gradually to the point where we can't meet their needs, and then typically the next step in that case would be to go to a rehab or a skilled nursing facility. If somebody has a more critical event like a stroke or a heart attack, and that physically debilitates them, then they're a good candidate for a skilled nursing facility or rehab. And sometimes they'll come back to us after they've gotten some strengthening and gotten a little bit better in that setting. Most of the residents that leave our homes leave when they pass away. And
Oh,
so they stay with us clear through the end of life. And in New Mexico, the regulations that govern us are sufficiently broad that we can take care of those people until they pass away. If they have some needs that we can't directly meet, then we'll contract with an outside agency like home health or hospice that can do some of the things that we're not allowed to do under our license, but can still happen under our roof.
oh, okay. Great. How do you obviously manage your other locations throughout the state and then in another state?
Uh-huh.
Do you do a lot of travel or how do you manage that?
I do a little bit of travel. In fact, I just came back from Nevada yesterday. I was out there for 3 days. I go out there about once a month to kind of check on my homes out there. But I've got some good management staff. I have a manager in each of my locations, and they run the day-to-day operations. And I'm pretty hands off with them once I get to the point where I'm comfortable with their leadership abilities, and they do a great job. And oftentimes they'll step up and do things that I might not even ask them to do, but they do it because they take ownership and they like to see their operation run smoothly.
That's wonderful. Have you thought about continuity for your operation? I mean, do any of your kids plan on taking over the business or?
I would love for them to. I've got 6 children, and so far none of them have expressed any interest in doing that. But I would love to be able to pass the business on to one of my kids.
Mm. So, what's been the biggest challenge for you in running this business?
I would say the biggest challenge we have consistently is maintaining our staffing where we need it to be. Um, we have some great people working for us, and they're dedicated and they love what they do. We can't really screen out or require or pay somebody to love our residents, but that's what the good ones do. They stay with us because they love the residents and they love the work. And then we're always dealing with a position or two here or there that we just can't get that kind of quality person for. And so the biggest struggle I think we deal with is that's a pretty continuous battle to find the right people to fill all those positions.
Do you ever get involved yourself on day-to-day operations because you're shorthanded?
I do not necessarily because we're shorthanded, but because I enjoy it. I One of my managers once was touring a prospective resident through one of our homes, and I was there, and I had some tools in my hands. I was fixing something, doing some repairs, and she introduced me as the maintenance man. And then she laughed, and then she said, "No, he's the owner." But I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I enjoy helping with the residents, and I'll get in and help clean up a spill or a flood or mop up the floor or move furniture, whatever's needed. I'll step in and do it.
Oh, that's great. What do you think is the biggest challenge for your industry in general?
I think for our industry in general is it's a challenge, and I think this is a good challenge to have is getting with our customers, being close enough to our customers to find out what they want, what they need, and then meeting those needs. And that's changed over time. And I'll give you an example. Years ago, 35 plus years ago, when I got into the nursing home business, um, people in that business said, well, we're taking care of patients in the nursing homes now that used to be only in the hospitals. Well, things have progressed and we're taking care of sicker and sicker people in lower and lower levels of care. And so most of the residents that live in assisted living now could easily qualify for nursing home level of care. But they live in our setting because they're able to live in that setting with less care, or they like that setting better than a more institutional or a larger setting. But those needs are changing, constantly evolving, and it's being driven more, I think, by the wants and the needs of our residents, our customers, than it is by any regulatory or legislative kinds of pressures. And so that's a challenge, but I think it's a good challenge because it keeps us on our toes. And the business that we're in 5 years from now will not be the same as it is today because we've been evolving to meet those needs.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how is the interaction between your client and their family? Are they generally coming to you because a family member has placed them there, or do they find you and come on their own?
Typically, they will come with the family. The family will bring them in because the family has identified that they're in a situation where the loved one, their prospective resident of ours, can't stay at home any longer, or they've been providing some of the care, and it's just gotten to the point where they can't do it anymore. It's not unusual at all for us to deal with a couple, an elderly couple, and one of them is fairly healthy, but they're the primary caregiver for their spouse who is more needy in terms of their physical needs. And over a period of time, that wears out the more healthy one to the point where they're both broken physically. And so we see a lot of those kind of situations where we're helping the family get some of their time back and helping the kids so that they can be children again instead of caregivers. It's tough being a caregiver full time. And what we can offer them is a setting where we provide those care needs. We've got staff that rotate around. And so none of our staff is there 24/7 like those family members have been at home.
Right. And so are you able to take couples in? Do you have facilities for them to come in as a couple?
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a number of couples come in, and that's kind of an interesting dynamic because sometimes they want to be together and sometimes they want to be in two rooms separately for their own sanity or for their own safety. Um, yeah, that's an interesting dynamic when we have a husband and wife that come in together.
I bet. Do you see that often?
Not very often. I would say 1 in 10 of our residents that come in are couples like that.
And if you look at the regulation in New Mexico, is it easier to deal with than what you saw prior in other states?
Um, it's easier to deal with than some other states. It's definitely easier than the regulations for the nursing homes. Um, we're just in, we've just gone through a process where those regulations in New Mexico have been rewritten, revised, and the Department of Health has taken public comment on those, and we're waiting for those comments to be consolidated and maybe some revisions to be made before those regulations become public and become effective.
And how does New Mexico compare to Nevada since you're doing business in both?
Um, in terms of our business and the regulatory environment,
Mhm.
the assisted living regulations are more stringent in Nevada than they are here. Um, there's good and bad. We have inspections once a year that we call them surveys in the nursing homes and in assisted living facilities. In Nevada, I can count on those surveys to happen like clockwork once a year. In New Mexico, they're not quite as punctual, and some in the business might welcome that. I think it's detrimental really to us as operators because it's helpful to have that extra set of eyes on a regular basis coming in and watching what we're doing and giving us tips where we may miss the mark in a given area. And when we go for several years without that oversight, without that extra set of eyes, things can slip.
Mhm. Well, that's really wonderful that you actually want that oversight. Because I think some people don't, but I think that's a really good idea, as you said.
It's a necessary function. Sometimes we chafe at regulators and regulations, but it's a necessary function, I think, to safeguard the well-being of the people that we take care of.
Yeah, definitely. So, if there was one thing that you could change in New Mexico to make it easier for you to operate here, what would that be?
I would say anything that I could do or we could do as a business community or as a provider community to ease up on uh, or improve the liability environment in our state. When I talk to, I'm very involved at the state and the national level with other providers in trade associations I work with, and I can tell you without question, in talking to them and in talking to my insurance companies, New Mexico, if not the most difficult state in the country, it's probably the second or third most difficult state in the country to deal with in terms of securing liability insurance coverage to protect our residents and our business. It's very difficult.
Well, I really appreciate you being with us today, Gerald. I think it's really good that people have an option and they understand where they may be able to place a loved one that needs some assistance and not full term nursing.
Sure.
I think it's really good to learn about this and for people in New Mexico to understand the heart of the owner of these businesses because we can tell you really enjoy it and you do it because of that.
I do think.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being with us and sharing time. And we look forward to learning more about your business in the future.
All right. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.